Hello, happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome back to our open office hours. I'm really glad that our intro played today because the last coding with Sam, we did not get the intro.
Yes.
And there was no music to start us off.
Internet problems. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. It was really weird, but you have to have that music to start you off because it's just a nice little like tune to. We dance in the studio in the background that nobody knows.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm not Jason. I was saying to Sam earlier, I haven't been on open office hours for quite some time, but here I am. I'm back, and it's not a fun topic today. It's kind of a serious one. We're talking about putting a cookie banner and writing a cookie policy for your website. If you have one already, maybe this is going to be something you just breeze through with us. If you're thinking of adding one, I hope I can present it in a way that isn't terribly overwhelming. Yeah, we added one to our site many months ago. I think we waited longer than most people do. We're a US-based company. I think we were kind of like, is this, what is this? And there's a lot to learn about with respect to what's required and how to do this properly. And it's a serious thing. I'm not a lawyer. We did not get a lawyer's advice. I did a lot of reading when I implemented our cookie banner about how I wanted to do it, what instances I wanted to assume consent, and where in what locales I wanted to let assume no consent, assume denied cookie creation. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of Kim saying I'm not a lawyer on this. And I think everyone should do some of their own reading, but we're not afraid to tackle hard topics. So we had our accessibility presentation with Beth Hannon. That's a hard topic as well, because once you put it out there to the world that you have an accessibility statement, that your plugin has gone through these accessibility checks, then I think you put yourself slightly under someone's radar to say, oh, okay, you're trying. Well, you're not trying hard enough. Here's what you're failing at. So it kind of shines a light on it. Now, today we're shining light on cookie consent and whether I'm implementing it properly for our website and whether I show you the right things to do today. I hope people in comments can approach me with kindness. And if you have something I'm saying that you believe is incorrect, share it. Let's talk it through. I will do more research. We're going to hopefully compile this all into a strong guide for all of you on our website, kind of the how-tos and decisions you're faced with. Again, with all those disclaimers, we're not actual people that's not our expertise. I'm not a privacy specialist. There are people you can hire, and I have no idea what they cost to do. If you did hire someone to implement this for you and you're comfortable sharing the range that you paid for it and the comfort you feel with how it's been set up, post that in comments too, or just say good luck in the comments. I can't flip back to it because I had to actually share my entire screen. Usually I share a window, but I have my entire screen share. Is it on the screen, Sam? I don't know. Is anyone saying anything?
Yet. Not yet. No, we just have, I guess Emily did not hear the intro, so hopefully it plays for people who play it back.
Yeah.
I know there is like a little bit of a lag at the beginning, but then Jim Barber, who, always is here, says happy Thursday, and Brad Williams also is sending us a wave.
Cool.
I say hello.
So. Brad, you're going to be the one to heckle me, please. I asked for heckling, so no. And we still have to get together for cheese sticks and beer. It is on my list. Anyway, so I made a little doc. I don't usually do this, but I think it's going to help me later also guide the blog post companion that we want for this. So what is cookie consent? What are cookies? I guess that's a good place to start. I'll dive right into it. Cookies are not things you eat. Sam and I were like joking we should get some cookies. That would probably be really gross for you to watch me eat cookies while I was talking about them, maybe later. But it is a way that the browsers, that experience of that person on your website can have certain information kind of stored for them, whether that's like preferences they chose, if they you have a dark mode toggle on your site, if it's a language, if you have a language switcher. A lot of that information can be stored on the user object if they're logged in, but if they're not logged in, the way that information can be stored is in the cookie. And there's going to be lots of cookies on your site, some from third parties, some that are local to your site for your own domain. Cookies themselves have data on them. So there's like a name of a cookie, and then there's like all this data in it. And plugins can modify that data statement. They can put timestamps in it. They can update it as someone's browsing the site. So it's a good way to help the person browsing the site get some preferences tracked, but it's also for you as a site owner, a great way to get some analytics to watch how people are using the site when they're not logged in. Also, when they're logged in, cookies also exist for logged in users. But for the focus of today, I'm going to be talking about the cookies that the logged out user experiences. Because in my understanding of things, once people are logged into your site, they're kind of already personally identified. And that's like one step closer of consent for them to say, like, okay, I'm logged into your site. Now, like, I know that I need to be tracked as a logged in user. That's not something I can deny use of. So I focus on the logged out experience and the logged out cookies. I think that's where you'll see the most research and information on the internet. But you may also get advice from other site owners or your legal team or other sites you visited where they also create consent for logged in users, which is also probably a great thing to do. I'm just going to get our feet wet on this topic. Cookies have a duration. So there's an amount of time that a cookie exists, and that can be set by the code on the site that's creating the cookie. It can be like a session cookie, so it destroys itself when the window closes. It can be a multi-day cookie, I think is the longest cookie, like 390 days, something weird. It's like, I don't know. There's no unlimited cookies, so they all expire at some point. When they get created, that date gets set, and the expiration of it is clear in the browser's experience. And they do persist. Like I said, they don't, if you close your browser, if you close Chrome, you shut your computer down, tomorrow you boot it back up, go to the same website. If that cookie is still unexpired, it's still active in the site. So they persist across the experience of multi-days of visiting the site. So if I always go to the same website and I always change it to Spanish and I always change it to dark mode, now this cookie is a good thing that's happening for me. So take or leave it. But there is legislation now that says people should opt in to these things, and they should allow what types of cookies are used. There are necessary cookies. Am I going too deep on this? Necessary cookies that you can't possibly use the site without them. So certain hosting environments have something called like a PHP session ID. WordPress itself sets like a time cookie just to test that cookies exist and can be created in the experience of that browsing of the website. So mostly coming out of Europe, policies related to approving or denying which types of cookies, necessary or optional cookies, and those have categories we'll go into later as well. So that's kind of the primer on cookies. Are there any questions just kind of about that? Like, what are we even talking about when we're talking about cookies?
There's no questions yet. Graham says that you're not going too deep.
Okay.
I know you cannot see the StreamYard today, so I'm probably going to be extra descriptive for Kim
You need
today
the
on the comments.
This is good. You know what? It's also a more accessible experience that we're reading these aloud.
It absolutely is. Because you mentioned analytics and everything, I am dropping the YouTube link from last week's open office hours that we had Derek Oshauer on with us from Conversion Bridge. If you are interested in doing more with analytics and everything on your site, like Kim was saying, you know, you do utilize cookies to do those things. But Conversion Bridge, I was blown away during the open office hours, even as the host. So I can't imagine what the viewers were thinking. But Painterships Pro for sure is going to be doing some work on some analytics in Q4 with Conversion Bridge. So I'm just dropping the link there in case you missed last week's open office hours. It is a good one to go back and watch and maybe use Conversion Bridge on your membership site.
Yes, maybe, definitely. Nice. Okay. I'll start getting into like the site a little bit and just talk about the site. I have every WordPress site totally unique. The plugins you're using, if you have 5 plugins, if you have 500 plugins, I don't know which ones add cookies and which don't, but I'm going to show you how to figure out which ones are creating cookies so that you can create policies for them. So in this site, it has Paid Memberships Pro. It has the Code Snippets plugin because I'll show a few snippets. User switching doesn't add a cookie unless you're the logged in admin using it. So don't worry about that one, really for cookies and basic user avatars. I can show you these. And then I have a collection of add-ons. None of the add-ons that are active in this site add cookies except the Google Analytics integration. But there are other PM Pro add-ons that add cookies, so I'll touch on those as well. So that's just this site's setup. It's one of our demo sites, Must Love Dogs. I deleted a few plugins because I wanted to keep this as simple as possible. So the cookie consent plugin that I'm going to use today is the Presidium cookie consent plugin. I think it was just a timely thing. I was in the post status Slack. Is it Christian? I'm going to get it wrong. No. Someone from Presidium and I got into chatting, and he was talking about their new cookie consent and what they were trying to do with it, and very open to feedback. So it just felt like a great way to support someone. And I will also share at the end of this, there's an accessibility, Equalize Digital has an accessibility meetup, and they did a bunch of cookie consent plugin accessibility testing. They did not test Presidium's plugin, at least not written about in that blog post, but written about in that blog post are some other cookie consent plugins you might be considering, and they found none of them to be wonderfully accessible and all presented issues. So kind of a pain in the butt that WordPress plugins doesn't have a solution that's beautifully easy to use for cookie consent and also not creating an additional accessibility conflict in your site. Because if you're operating in the GDPR rules and in the EU, cookie consent is something you're facing. Also, accessibility laws are something you're facing. So by adding cookie consent, you don't want to introduce an accessibility crisis on your site. But again,
sounds like an open door for someone to create this really awesome plugin.
Yeah. I just saw a new one in post data. Someone shared, like, I got tired of not seeing any accessible cookie consent banners. So I created one and I looked at it and it was like written in Next.js and like not really a plugin. And I was like, I don't know how to use this. So there probably is someone that could implement that one for you. Again, it hasn't been tested by third parties that I have read who have affirmed that what they're stating is true with respect to the accessibility of their cookie consent banner. So
we do have a question, Kim.
Yeah.
And this may just be something that you're going to be going over throughout the live stream. Mm-hmm. But United Sidecar wants to know, as a user, I understand how cookies are used and how I can approve or limit them. But as a site owner, I don't know how to create and use cookies for my benefit for my users. Any help there?
Okay. That's interesting. Bring me back to that one at the end. Okay. Once the user is logged into the site, there's a lot more that you can do on page loads that won't really require cookies. But there are some instances, actually, the PM Pro site is thinking about converting some of our PHP stuff to a cookie. We want to, right now what we're doing is tracking the last page someone viewed before they upgraded to a membership. So our documentation is behind a free member paywall. When people hit a documentation that they cannot access, there's a button linking them right to the free checkout. We now store, that's just passed as like a parameter to the checkout page and then shown on the confirmation page as a jump back in where you were. So a quick way to say like, oh, were you on the documentation for the REST API? You got, you needed to create your free user account or login. Our login already had a redirect back to that page, but if you were then prompted to go to the free user checkout, now our confirmation page gives you that jump right back link. That would be way better in a cookie because it might also take someone to the documentation page, the pricing page, checkout, and then confirmation. So that would then pass the pricing pages that previously viewed. So I think we're thinking about putting that in a cookie. So that's the first idea that comes to mind. But there are other things you can do with the logged in user by writing things to user meta or storing in some other place in your WordPress site that might make more sense than cookies. Okay, this is the consent banner we're going to use. It's the one we use on the PM Pro site. Pretty newly released, I would say. It's not the most used one. If you're a person that just looks for active installations and look for one that has hundreds of thousands, this is not the one that will be top of your list. But again, personal relationship and someone I knew that was launching this and I could directly influence the development of, and I did, and they changed things. So I like that. That's what we do in our Slack too. Okay. Plugin is installed. I want to follow my guide so I do this correctly. Okay. And I did confirm that Payments Pro is already installed and set up. And now we have our cookie consent plugin set up. So this is the settings screen. This shows you an example of what, is this showing the StreamYard is sharing your screen thing?
Yes, it is.
Can I make, does that make me not share?
That.
Okay.
No, you're still sharing. It's just, we're not seeing that bar anymore.
Good. No more pop-ups. You have enough in your WordPress admin, I'm sure. So this is just an example of what it's going to look like. I'm not going to set this up yet because I think this is a good point of time to say, like, how do you even know, or what are the setup steps going to be required? And how do you even know what cookies you need to detect? So some cookie consent services say that they'll scan your website for you and detect all your cookies. I tried a few of those and none of them were working properly. I was logged in as an admin, so I had all these weird cookies that actual users won't have on their site. It was catching all these weird ones. I was trying to delete them, and it had like 100 cookies. I was like, that's not actually true. So what I recommend doing is manually inspecting what cookies the logged out user is seeing in their site and adding them specifically to the categories that the types of cookies that consent can be given for. So the types are necessary. So when you say accept necessary, you might see this on websites you're browsing, you're accepting any cookies that the site owner is categorizing as necessary. Analytics-based are tracking cookies. So Google Analytics, ad consent. So consent to have your information. If you click through on a Google ad, came to a website and purchased, for that to be tracked as a conversion, that's also an analytic-based cookie. Targeting cookies, does it say what they are? Maybe we have some. I do have my cookies open. Okay, so these targeting cookies, I classify these as targeting. Our site-wide sales add-on, which we are. What date is that, Sam? You can grab that. I'm going to be doing a preparing your membership site for Black Friday. Site-wide sales is our plugin to run sales on your membership site, flash sales. So this is a tracking cookie for if they viewed the banner, they came to the landing page for your sale, or eventually checked out, and it's used for sale analytics.
That will be our next open office hours on October 9th.
I
know. It's already time to prepare for Black Friday, and we're going to bring it to you on October 9th. It's crazy.
Yes. Obviously, because you go to the store now, the Halloween stuff is out. So targeting cookies. When I write this blog post, I will get like an official, the world and geniuses of cookies and what each category means so that you can determine which ones you place in each section. Preferences cookies, those would be the examples I shared. The language preference, if you had a language switcher, the dark mode or light mode preference, if you had that. I don't have that on my site, but that's how you would classify these. So those are the types of cookies. So for each section, we're going to look at our cookies based on the plugins we have in our site for our logged out user, and then we're going to categorize them and describe them in here. So I have a separate window open where I'm not logged in to this site so that we can do this. So how do I know what kind of cookies? And you can do this for any website. It's not because I'm the owner of this website. If you're logged into like Reddit, you can look at the cookies that Reddit is specifically putting on your site. You can do that for any website, inspect them. So what I do is I use Chrome inspect. So it's Chrome developer tools, view developer tools. This is how I do this. Please, if someone has better ways to do all of this, shout them out, because this is how this 18, 19 years plus developer does things. So on this site, we have the Google Analytics integration. Oh, I didn't put that in the list, did I? Oh, yeah, I did. Okay. The Google Analytics integration for Paid Memberships Pro, basic page view tracking, e-commerce tracking, and some unique custom variables tracking for memberships. So I can view a certain post on our site and the views it got for specifically level 1 members. That's what that add-on does. There's lots of Google Analytics plugins for WordPress. If you're not using ours, you're going to have to custom code that stuff if you want that advanced analytics of segmenting by membership level of who viewed the content, or the e-commerce tracking for membership checkouts. So I do have Google Analytics, and then Core Paid Memberships Pro has a report of visits, views, and logins, and that is cookie-based tracking. So it tracks visit when I come back to the site as a session cookie. It tracks my visit here. So I'm going to show you how to disable that if you don't want that default cookie present. But right now for this site, we basically have 3. I would say the PM Pro visit is a tracking cookie. Let's call that a tracking cookie. And then our Google Analytics ones. So what do we do with these 3 cookies? Within our Google consent, we'll make them, I guess that's kind of an analytics cookie because it's storing. Okay, so this is an analytics cookie. The name of the cookie is this value here in this name column. I'll just put this as the site. There's some shorthand for the domain. Most of the time it's the site that you're on, and that's listed in this column here, domain. It might be an external site, like it might be Google Tag Manager, it might be ConvertKit, it might be some other tool that you have on your site. The cookie expires. This is a session cookie. I wonder if this is even worth putting in. Does session exist? I don't think I put anything in path in our site, but let's see what I did here. I didn't change path anywhere. Okay. And then the description, this is the description that'll be shown in like the modal when people, if you're going to show the modal of letting people customize their preferences for what cookies are stored. And then this plugin also creates a block that you can place within your privacy policy that is kept up to date with the list of cookies so that you can identify each one and add a descriptive text to your privacy policy or to a cookie policy. We'll get to that later, describing it. So this is used to track visits to this membership site. I would use ChatGPT and I would say, here's this cookie here. What do you think it's doing? Then we have this GA cookie. Again, the same domain. This cookie lasts until October 23rd, 2026. So that's that weird number. What is it? 400 days. Okay. I'm going to assume it's 400 days because that's what I wrote in the Pay Merchants Pro site. What did I say earlier? 390 days? I was wrong. It's 400 days. I don't know. Is that the longest cookie? Does anyone know how long the longest cookie is? You get a cookie.
I'm going to Google it right now.
Thank you. All right. And then we have one other one. Now look at this one. This one has like this string of weird letters and numbers. That's a cookie that's name is unique and generated for everyone that comes to your site. So if Sam came to this site, that cookie would have a different name. So for this case, we have to do what's called regex, which I've never been good at, but ChatGPT can help with. And I will just copy from this one. But basically, oh, no, not that one. Regex uses asterisks and slashes and letters and numbers to kind of define patterns. And then it considers it a match if that pattern is matched. So in this case, we'll just put _GA_asterisk, which means it prefixes with _GA_, and then asterisk can be anything after it. And then just toggle this is regex. Is everyone's eyes glazing over? Do we have anyone still? It's really awkward for me not to be able to peek over at you all. Go ahead.
I mean, it says that we have 15 viewers, but people are very quiet. Okay. So I don't really know if they're.
This is a serious
maybe
topic.
They're just digesting everything.
I know, me too. Digest your cookies.
So according to the AI overview from Google about the longest website cookie, because if you just search longest cookie, you get the world's biggest cookie, just so you know, like actual cookie. But
I know how big that is too.
So the cookie limits are kind of actually browser specific. Okay. But the one I find really funny is Google Chrome only recently introduced the 400-day maximum lifetime limit in 2022. And prior to that, cookies could be set to last for thousands of years.
Okay. I mean, 400 days is still a long time. I hope that you clear your browser history more frequently than that, but you know. All right. How am I doing? It's odd that we store the whole one and it stores the truncated one. We should do that.
Everybody says they're watching and working and learning. So
good. Thank you, everybody. So regex, you don't have to learn regex to do this. I would just say like, if you see a cookie that has funny letters and then go on like a different browser tab and open it again and those changed, you probably need to use a regex. And then I would dump it into chat. Like if there were letters after this, like _site or something, your regex pattern would look different. So I would just give this to your AI tool of choice and say, oh, no, I just broke it. I created a cookie. And say, can you help me write the regex statement for this? It would be more like this.
Oh. So. Also, what I'm learning is that websites can refresh a cookie's expiration date every time you visit, so it can extend the effective life. So even if it has a 400-day max, if the website refreshes the cookie, it extends that expiration date. Fun fact. Don't ask me how to do that. I don't know. I'm just reading on Google.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. So that's that. I'll just show you what my cookies look like as a logged in person because there are more and it's your choice to decide what you include and what you don't.
Yes, Emily, by 400 more days, it would extend.
Yeah. These are those test cookies, WP settings -1, WP settings -1 -time. If you're not logged in and not seeing them, I wouldn't bother adding these. There's some like WordPress security cookies. There's a WordPress logged in user cookie because I'm logged in. I see a new one called this PHP session ID. That's a cookie created to test whether PHP sessions exist. They should exist in your WordPress site. Lots of WordPress plugins leverage PHP sessions. Nothing would be functioning on your site, especially not your membership checkout if you didn't have PHP sessions enabled. Although we have seen some support tickets and we're like, oh, you don't have PHP sessions in your host. Okay. So that's what these all are. I guess when I created it for Paymerchants Pro, what did I do? This is because we use Google Ads on our site. So I put that one there. Again, I said that was our site-wide sales. I don't know if I need that test cookie. I did put this PHP sesh ID one in. Sometimes I feel like they change every time I come back to the site. Like if I delete the session cookie, does it come back sometimes? I don't know why. They sometimes show. It's like it creates it if it thinks it has to, kind of thing. So it's kind of like chasing a moving target with these cookies. But the more you can test, and I'll even open a incognito window. That's also a good trick because even being not logged in, but not being an incognito can sometimes create different cookie generation experiences too. So you see those cookies there. Why is incognito inverted? I guess just to show you that you're in incognito. But I'm not going to add any of these because they only show up when you're logged in. If you were using Paymerchants Pro's limit post views, that's our add-on to give metered access to people based on if they're not members. So it allows non-member views of paid content, of premium content, or free content, any protected content based on a certain time frame. So you can have a site like the New York Times does this. If you enter the New York Times through like a Google link, sometimes it gives you a view and then you go to browse to like some other recipe that looked good and that one's blocked. So that's kind of that like metered access, like a leaky paywall kind of thing. So we use that on our site. That's why that cookie is used to say, did you use up all your views for this time frame? Okay, you don't get any more, but you can circumvent that, delete the cookie, open an incognito browser. There's ways around it. That's why cookies aren't the most awesomest way to do certain secure things. So that's this site. We inspected our logged out cookies. All right.
So the process that you're doing right now, Kim, with putting these cookies into the cookie consent plugin is what gives your site on the front end the ability to say accept all cookies or manage cookies or those options. Okay.
Yeah. It says, all right, you have the cookie consent banner. Now, what kind of cookies are we talking about here? There's these 4 groups. Label them all, identify them all, make them human readable and understandable so people can opt in if they choose to and understand what that piece of tracking opt-in means under the hood. And we're still not done. There's still a lot that you have to do here. Cookie consent plugins like this, all they do is tell your site whether consent has been given or not. Later on, we're going to say, okay, how do you actually control whether that functionality is triggered or is not triggered? So it's a rabbit hole. Yeah, but that's what we're doing. Baby steps. I almost want to flip these around because I think now that I know that there's let's do this one as step 8. We're blogging as we're streaming. This is great. Sam's going to really appreciate this. Okay.
I will.
We added all our cookies. So let's play with it now. So this is the example of what it looks like. The modal itself can be customized. So you can change the way it looks, where it's positioned. I did bottom right. And then there's 2 button options in this one. And on the Paymerchants Pro site, we have, I think we have accept all except necessary too. Yeah, accept all except necessary. Ooh, what, did you see that hover? I got to fix that, Sam. It's like blinks. Okay. You can change this to be accept all or customize. So the secondary button. So primary button, accept all. Secondary button, settings. Settings is what opens the modal where I didn't update my buttons. Oh, you know what I did? I think I imported my settings. Hold on. I'll show you where I screwed this up, but let me just click this and you'll see. And then this in the admin, I love that it gives you an example in the admin of what it looks like. I'm going to change the text to that accept necessary. Just look away. from that. This is what your visitor would see if you did allow them to customize it. We didn't do that in PageMarshruts Pro site. I just wanted it to be as simple as possible, necessary or all. But if you do want to allow the customization of everything, what people would do is see a modal like this with all the sections. This is why accessibility for these is pretty challenging, because they want to, like, in this tiny little box, squeeze in all this information, but there's a lot of interaction necessary here. They need to, like, scroll through it. They need to open each of these little sections, and they need to be able to toggle each of these settings. So I don't think there's no easy answer, I think, to this, other than taking them to a different page on the website where they wouldn't need to use all these tricks to get it to fit into this tiny window. Like, imagine cookie consent settings on a mobile device, even more challenging. But those same cookie names and information about each and the descriptive text are shown in that modal. So you can, this is what we all manually entered. And the person, they can't toggle individual ones within each category. It's category on, category off, accept all, reject all, and save settings. We're not showing this modal on the site. I'll show you where that's customized. Interestingly enough, you can do translations right in this, which is cool. It's already like ML multilingual ready, and customize the eat the cookies. This is not what it's going to say, but this is where you would change the title. This is where you would change the descriptive text. Oh, here's the cookie settings modal. So on the PageMarshruts Pro site, we changed this to link to our cookie policy. So I'm going to do that just because I'm trying to mirror what we did on our site. Primary button, accept all. Secondary button, accept necessary. This is actually settings, how we did it, but I'll just change it to accept necessary. Okay. Cookie preferences, cookie usage. That's the modal, customizing text within the modal that pops up. Let's save this. I don't think you should have it say eat the cookies, but I didn't know what else to think because my brain has been eating cookies all morning. Okay. And now that's linking to our cookie policy. So you can customize it there. You can do some colors. I do have some CSS I put on our site to make it look as close as possible to the Paid Memberships Pro design settings. So if you've customized Paid Memberships Pro or chosen a design settings in the admin memberships settings design area, you can customize some of that. You can copy over. Where were the colors? I thought it had all the colors you could change. Oh, here. Okay. They're not in modals. It's in general. So you can change a lot of colors, almost too many colors, I would say here. But it's pretty themable. And then there are some built-in themes for the site. Sam, you like turquoise, right?
Yes, I do.
I don't know if that's going to be accessible. Let's try it. We picked turquoise for Sam. So now let's just see where we're at here. Oh, okay. That might pass.
I did change. I don't know if you changed it or if they changed it, but when you picked the turquoise, the text did go from white to black.
Okay. All right. I want to put it back. So now what we have now is a cookie consent banner that links to our cookie policy, the option to accept all or accept necessary with no modal to customize which you're accepting. Necessary will only be those necessary ones that we put in the necessary category, and it won't allow any other tracking in the site. Cool. So what happens in the site now? So this site, because it's already using Paid Memberships Pro and it's already using Google Analytics, it's not waiting to see if consent was given to perform those actions in the site. And I believe that that's a no-no. I believe that you must stop doing the cookie and only do the cookie once the consent has been given. So how do we actually do that? We're going to get into some code for that piece of things. Could Paid Memberships Pro just do this? Yes, if all cookie banners use the same systems under the hood to communicate consent to the browsing experience, but they don't. So like if I accept this, what you're going to see is a new cookie gets created. It's called the Presidium cookie consent. And every cookie banner uses its own cookie to store the consent that's given and not given. So really, it's not possible for Paid Memberships Pro to toggle or have compatibility to recognize all of these. There is something called the WP Consent API that's trying to make this a standard in WordPress so that cookie consent banners can set settings in a way that's standardized across WordPress sites, and then plugins can access data about consent in a way that's standardized across WordPress sites. We're not quite there yet. We're getting close. Brad, if you're still here, awesome. But do you know anything about the consent API? Because I have not dug into it as deeply as I could have to prepare for this. But the article can and should and will talk about it. So, cookie consent. All right, we adjusted the policy. We adjusted the link to the cookie policy, and where we're showing the modal. There are other options with this. Like if we were showing that settings, the cookie settings thing, it can collapse that modal into like a little button. So it's an ever-present button at the bottom corner of your site or wherever to adjust your cookie preferences. I don't know if your site has any popovers. We have a few when we run events. We show a banner. For our introductory pricing, we show a banner. We're running a sale right now. We're showing a banner. So I don't really want anything persistent and hovering on my site. People who use like help desk software or AI chat, those create those little hover bubbles on the site. It's like you can't even see the website anymore. There's so many things eclipsing it on the site. So I would not collapse it into a button unless you believe through legal advice that it's necessary and mandatory, or you're just kind of like, hopefully they change their mind and let me track them later. That's up to you. Okay, so cookie policy. Here's ours. How do I write these kind of policies? I go read around on the internet at lots of places and I find what I like and don't like. There are services that can generate policies for you. Termageddon can help you generate like a terms of service and other types of legal statements. I know lots of people are turning to ChatGPT. I know lawyers who are turning to ChatGPT, or any other LLM that can interpret information and create it for you. So all your choice. I did not use that block, but I think in this demo, let's try that block that comes with it. But I do show the different categories, other cookies, and some links. For example, in my cookie policy, I wanted to also link to the privacy policies of the external services that we were showing. I saw that was done a lot in different cookie policies I read. So the non-site native that are not native to my domain, I can link to my own privacy policy here, which you already are on, so I didn't link to it, or link to the privacy policy for that external service. So if you're using like Hotjar, is that still a thing? I'm aging myself. That's probably from 15 years ago, or any other things like that, or HubSpot, or if you have Facebook ads and you're doing like retargeting campaigns, all of that, you can link to the privacy policies of those services because they do impact the holistic privacy of that user's experience on your site. Fun. All right, so let's go on our site. Do we even have a privacy policy on this? I think it's draft. All right, this is the suggested privacy policy that WordPress creates. I don't remember what version WordPress started having the setting for privacy policy pages, around when Site Health came into the world. So this is the generic text that was given. I think then if the cookies table here is, okay, you can't show them all at once. You can only choose each one. So these are the analytics cookies. So it's nice that it's just in sync with that list of cookies. So you're not saying like, oh, I updated the list of cookies in Presidium, I'm good to go. No, you have to also put this on their privacy policy. But this didn't have that way to link to the privacy policy for the external services. We're not using any in this site. I guess Google Analytics is. That's the one you'd want to link to the outside of. But I guess you could probably put it in the description. You could try it. Does it strip hyperlinks? Let's try it. Now I'm hunting for my cookie. Here. Let's see. It might strip just for security. Let's try it. All right. Which one? This one. All right. Let's see if that works. I'm going to guess it strips it, but maybe not.
Kim, do you know if that block or table that you placed in that brings the cookies in, if it's available in page editors like Elementor?
I do not know, but let me look at the source code. I assume it would have to be a short code. So let's see. Find in folder. Add short code. All right, short codes manager. Maybe. Yes. What's the short code's name? It's all like show columns. Yeah. All right. Why isn't it documented? Get short code. It's object-oriented programming, which it makes it really hard to understand everything. Konstantinos, that's the person's name. If you're watching or watching later, I am sorry. Yes, it does look like there is a short code. Their documentation is so light. Even on their website, it's so light. I maybe someday they'll have like really good documentation, but I'll include it when we, maybe it's in the settings. They did have a lot of settings. How about here?
I would say it's pretty likely if they have a Gutenberg block that they have a short code for page builders.
The way that the code is written, my brain can't take the time right now to locate the. It is on GitHub. Here, let's see.
We can find out and we can put it in our blog post when we.
Someone who knows
publish it.
This way of coding, help me find the actual short code. See, there is a short code, cookies short code, but what's it called? Is it called Presidium cookie consent cookies? Headers, column headers, table, get output. But I'm like, what's the name of the short code? Why is this hard for me? Someone please. Short codes? Short codes manager? Like every short codes needs a name, right? It can't just be short codes. Sometimes the block will just, no, it doesn't. Okay. Someone will find it. I know all of you smarties will find it because this is the GitHub link. So if you give me it, yes, I imagine that's true.
They'll follow up later.
We'll follow up later. But you can't put HTML in the description of the cookie. So if you want to do what I do, which is link to the privacy policy of that party, maybe we can get them to update it, but it will not output as HTML. It gets sanitized here. So you could just put the full URL, I guess, and people would have to click it themselves, or you could build the table yourself. So rough if you want to do that. I did not use their thing. I guess it's just putting something. I have that in our notes. Put some calendar event every couple months. Review cookies, review cookie policy. Help yourself not forget. So now we have a cookie policy and we have it linked to from our cookie modal. That's kind of the meat of it. I'll show some code and take some questions. This is the article I wanted us to show. Sam, I should have sent you this earlier. I don't know if you can get into this Google Doc.
Your screen real quick.
Oh,
there
take
you
my
go.
screen
Your
down.
screen's removed. Now you can send me what you need to send.
We didn't want to create like an infinite banner. Okay, here we go. Okay, I put it in there.
Cool. You just
hide
in the chat.
Oh yeah, same.
Beautiful.
Okay, so give that a watch. Just like our accessibility stream, just like our blog post about accessibility. Accessibility is a journey. And every time you're doing something in your site, you're moving closer to being more accessible or you're moving further from it. So choosing which cookie banner you use, because you know that cookie consent is a necessary requirement in certain regions. Great. If it creates accessibility problems, document them. Say like, I'm aware that article at least did document the specific challenges that each of the plugins they covered have. So you can document them in your accessibility thing and say like, we are working on these, or we are waiting for the developer to update it to do these things. Like you're a DIY membership site creator. You can't be expected to be an accessibility expert, but you can be aware and keep good documentation and approach everything as a human, and with an honest answer to things. You're not bragging about how accessible your site is and it's perfect. You're doing the hard work. So check that article out. This is that reminder. Every time you add a new plugin, there could be cookies. Every time you update a plugin, it could introduce some cookies. So you need some kind of system to regularly keep that up to date, or else it's for nothing that you did any of this work. So however frequently you think that that's necessary, I think annually would probably be enough. But keeping an eye on it. And if you stop using a system, take that cookie off the thing. It's not needed anymore. All right. And I want to show the code. So should I take some questions before I look at the code piece?
It'd be great to take questions if there was questions.
Okay. So I'll just show some of these code snippets. These will be in the future article. I've written them in a generic way and then a way to work just specifically for the cookie modal that we're working with today, the Presidium cookie consent plugin. PM Pro's visits, views, and logins report. I don't like this report. I keep voting to get it taken out of PageMarshals Pro, and in its place, we have some ideas for native analytics. We're going to pitch some of those ideas at some point in the future, probably Q4. It won't get done. It won't get passed because it's really challenging, but there are open source analytic systems that are self-hosted and native to the site. So consent doesn't leave the website itself. So you're not also entangling your user's information with Google, which in some places, like it's almost, I think, illegal to use Google Analytics on a site in some regions in Europe. So native analytics are super great and super strong. This report was conceived like in the first version of PageMarshals Pro, 16 years ago, 15 years ago. And it's not super accurate. Its numbers won't perfectly match up to other tracking. It can be like a cause of contention for people. And it does create this like page load heavy thing. So we had it disabled for a long time on our site. We do have our these two disabled. We do keep logins enabled because we want to clean up users that haven't logged in 12 years on our site. There's no reason to have 400,000 users in your site if only 100,000 of them are actually using the site and 300,000 of them have moved on with their life. So we do keep the login tracking only to help us create reporting and do some like cleanup of really stale users in the site. But if you wanted to and you said, I don't like that report, I don't use that report, I don't want that in my cookie nonsense, this code will just disable all of the visit views and logging tracking. So you won't have that PM Pro visit cookie created. It won't have to be in your policy. Nice. I have this commented out, but this second set of code, which we'll have in our recipe, is going to just base it on consent. So if consent is denied, which is our default state with the way the code is written, it'll only begin that tracking once consent for analytics-based cookies is given. So good snippet, and that will be in the blog post. Same thing with our Google Analytics. We don't have integration for Presidium built in. We don't have it for the WP Consent API built in. It's going to begin tracking the second someone visits that site, and it will only cease to track. It'll never cease to track in our Google Analytics stuff because you need some kind of code on top of the consent acceptance to disable the scripts. So there's some of that feature in Presidium. There's like a block scripts thing. I never played with that because I know PHP better than I know JavaScript. So this is the snippet you would use if you were using our analytics plugin to not track by default and only begin tracking once the analytics cookie acceptance was given. I might take a look at WP Consent API. I know that Presidium uses it. So if they are already integrating with it and it's something we can build off of, then we can probably build some filters into our Google Analytics tracking. But if you're using a different one, if you're using Monster Insights, they might have integration with other cookie plugins that they own. That is possible to use here too. But just remember, I said that in the beginning, I'll say it again, just getting acceptance for cookies or denial for cookies is the first step. The second step is disabling the things that they don't want or enabling the things that they gave you the permission to have on the site. So it's a lot here. I'm not going to show that consent. And then I just wrote this function is just used by all of them. So if I enable these and go back to our demo here, and I refresh this site, it always was doing that, creating one. So now, right now I have no cookies because I have all those code snippets running. So this is, why would I even need consent? You know, if I had none of those running and I wasn't using an analytics thing, maybe you don't even need a consent banner if you're never creating cookies in the site. Once people log in, they will get a cookie. They will get those default WordPress cookies. And then that's the bridge of saying, do I want to have a cookie policy for my logged in users as well? If we accept this and the next page we visit, then we get our tracking starts. We didn't get our visit tracking. Why is that? Might be a bug in my code. I'll find it. But our analytics did start tracking with those code snippets in place because we know that they've now accepted all types of cookies. So yeah. If you like scripts and understand how to do this, you can do things like this. Oh, maybe it's pretty easy. You just like put the script. This wouldn't work for the PageRank Pro Visits one because it's not a JavaScript file. It's done in PHP on page load, but this would work for Google tag, Google Analytics tag. So that's also in here. It's a JavaScript file. We will find it. Oh, is it G tag? Here it is. And it would also be a regex. So it would be something like this, ID equals G dash. We know yours. It's not going to change on your site. And this is the analytics category. Here, let's try it. We have 9 more minutes for Kim to fumble around with cookies, guys. All right. I turned off my snippets. I turned on I have to delete the cookies. And I'm just clicking on the cookie with my mouse and hitting the delete button as the developer of the site. And I mean, you can do this on any site. If I go to Reddit, wait, I don't want to pull up Reddit. Well, something weird could be there. I don't know. Go to any website. You can delete the cookies it has. And you can also delete them like when you're clearing your browsing history in Chrome itself. You'll see that option. Delete all the cookies, clear my cookies. So now I should also get, no, it's still tracking. Isn't it supposed to block the script? Didn't we say block the script? Make sure you've enabled page scripts option. Oh, read the instructions, Kimberly. Okay. Doing this again. That one always gets recreated. Okay. So I deleted them all. I'm going around the site. I have not given analytics consent yet, so it is blocking that JavaScript file. So I shouldn't be scared of a screen just because it said the word script. I should look at it. And if I do this, what I believe will now happen is my Google scripts will now be allowed to run. So if you can see in your site code that the tracking information is a specific source and you assign it to one of those categories, you might not need the code. This would work for any Google Analytics plugin you're using. They all have to embed Google's tracking script somehow in the site. So it will not work for the PM Pro Visit tracking if you do have that enabled in your site. It would work for limit post views because that is also a JavaScript file. Should I set that up? All right.
Why not?
Let me get, yeah. Transparency matters. Have a clear policy. Disclose the cookies that you know about. Make an effort, do your best. That's all we can do. I said in the beginning, I'm not a legal expert. I probably have, I said, joked in post as I have like a surface level understanding. I probably have a little bit more than that, but I also don't kid myself to the fact that this is a complex thing for a site. And I don't know, you guys interact with cookie consent banners a ton, just using the internet every day. I barely look at them. I click accept all to make it go away most of the time. Yeah, unavoidable.
Yeah, I do that too. I just am like, okay, accept the cookies. I don't even know what really I am accepting all the time, but it's kind of like when you update your phone and it says to agree to the terms of service, like who actually scrolls through that? before they update their phone.
And then you can scroll really, really fast. And then
Not
it's
me.
hard. Yeah. Really tough. Any questions? Or is everyone exhausted?
Everybody is finding this very helpful, and they say thank you
Great.
for doing this. Emily
You're
also
welcome.
clicks blindly at accepting the cookies. Oh, Mary says, I always choose necessary and functional cookies.
Okay. Smart. That's probably smart. I also have like empathy to being someone that has a site that analytics are insightful and helpful on. And I'm like, okay, you can know that I read these 3 recipes on your website today. But I know it's the thing that I don't accept is those enable notifications. Oh my gosh. When those pop up on a site, I'm like, next.
Oh, yeah, that one I do say not allow. Can we circle back around to United Sidecar's question from earlier?
Yeah.
Thank you for the reminder on that one.
Yes.
So just to recap, since we've had people come and go, United Sidecar asked earlier, as a user, I understand how cookies are used and how I can approve or limit them. But as a site owner, I don't know how to create and use cookies for my benefit for my users. Any help there?
So I won't go into like the code. Well, I can show in PayMarshals Pro where the, actually I might not be logged into GitHub on this tab. And it won't, GitHub doesn't let you search. Oh, it's easier if I'm logged in. Well, let's just look at the code.
Bring your screen back up. There you go.
There's like,
does the user experience really change much if you don't accept the cookies?
no.
I mean, obviously the ones that were like language and darker light mode, you know, those kind of ones that would affect their experience. But beyond that,
right.
As far as like analytics go or those kind of tracking things, it shouldn't affect the users.
No. So here's where we set a cookie. So this is like a WordPress function set cookie. No, it's not. It's a PHP function. There's a WordPress one though. It would have been prefixed with WP. And it's just like the parameters of it. You can look them up here in the PHP developer docs. So it's really easy. You can set them. This one's set on at WP. So like kind of like you hook it into something in WordPress and then you run that script, that set cookie. And this code itself is looking if the person's logged in, if they have a user ID, and setting some things. Constants like cookie path and cookie domain are just values you can use for the site itself that like exist in the site. So it's not technically a lot of code to do it. But now the question is like, why and when is this fun and useful? The example we gave earlier of like kind of seeing their last page viewed, that can give you information about what's how they're converting and why, but so can Conversion Bridge. No code needed, but cookie based for sure. I think you just want to use it when it's not information you necessarily need 100% because you know that it can be destroyed by the user. I would more often recommend updating user meta when your users are logged in with things that they do. So if you identified 5 pages on your site that were like excellent conversion pages, I would store those in a user meta field that's hidden and visible to admins only. You would use similar code on the page load. If they get to that page and we know their user ID, set their user meta, create or update user meta with that value of that page hit, and then create some kind of report for yourself. Like, I should call these 5 people because they're hot leads. I like doing a lot more on user meta. It's a passive experience. The user can't destroy the information. I can trust it. I can update it throughout this site. So if they're not logged in and you have to use cookies because you have no other way to kind of create a persistent value across visits of their experience on your site, that's when you would use them. You would default to using cookies. We have our abandoned carts add-on, abandoned cart recovery, is not cookie-based right now. It's only currently compatible with Stripe hosted checkout because that's the version of and PayPal offsite checkout because we create pending orders, but we've talked about converting that to be cookie-based. So if we created the user, they didn't check out, and you were using an embedded checkout on your site, like Stripe's hosted checkout or the Stripe embedded payments elements. Is that what it's called? Stripe elements. So if your checkout page has the credit card fields right there, you're not doing the offsite hosted page. If someone had an error, let's say they went to enter their user information, they went to enter their credit card information, the checkout form was the expiration date is incorrect. We know that they're a logged in user. In that case, we could do something that wouldn't even have to be cookie based. That could also be user based. I don't know. We did talk about using cookies for that though. I don't know why. Limit post views uses cookies. It could probably switch to being user meta for logged in users only, but it still wouldn't track that for logged out visitors to the site. So yeah, I don't know. Is anyone creating cookies that can give us more ideas? Because for me, I would have just always put it on the user directly.
I don't know about creating cookies, but Graham says that they use a pop-up maker that generates cookies. And depending on the pop-up, they may use a daily or weekly time, depending on how annoying they want to be. And we use cookies for our pop-up banner as well. We use pop-up maker plugin. Mm-hmm. And I want to say for our events, we do a 7-day cookie. I would imagine
because we don't show it for much longer than that. Yeah.
The sale might be a little bit shorter.
30. Yeah.
But I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, we put the pop-up maker on, we turn it on the Monday before the event, and we turn it off during the event. So either Thursday or Friday is when it gets turned off. So it's not even a full 7 days that we run that. But we do create a new cookie for each event.
This is the site-wide sales cookie. I'll just show you what did I show this already? Here. There's so many cookies on our site. Look at them. Didn't I say 500 cookies is a lot? We might have close. Here's that tracking. And pop-up makers is similar. We don't have any pop-up makers right now. It's like PUM
right now,
something.
That banner on the bottom right now is for our sale using site-wide sales, which right now, if you are not a premium member, you can get 60% off for your first year.
Yeah. Cool. Hey, this went better than I thought. Good job, everybody.
Kim, if you want to go to our live page, I will recap our events coming up real quick before we do our outro.
That's me. Here's the
bunch.
Yeah, the whole calendar's out. Oh my goodness.
Yes, the whole calendar
Merry
for
Christmas.
the end of the year is out. The end of the year is the hardest to plan because of the holidays and everything that you have to account for. But it is out. We do have another community co-working hour this September. It's going to be the 23rd at 10 a.m. Eastern. I have heard some feedback. I have a meeting at 9 a.m. those Tuesdays, but I'm going to talk to the team that I meet with at that time to see if I can bump up this co-working hour by 30 minutes, because I've heard that just a little bit earlier would be helpful for people in the community. If you have an opinion on the time of when we do the co-working hours, please tell me. There is some flexibility of the time that we have. Those are exclusive to our Slack community. So you do have to be in the Slack community to get the link to join those. But it is awesome time to actually be face-to-face with Kim Coleman and I. Yeah. So that's always fun to join. On the 26th at 9 a.m., we have a Coding with Sam. If you're not familiar with Coding with Sam, Christy actually picks a recipe for me to code for the session the day before I go live. So I don't even know what I'm coding until I go live. It's a secret. But the whole point of it is if someone from a marketing background can go on YouTube and code it live, you can do it on your membership site as well. And then last but not least, the open office hours that we have next is going to be October 9th. And we are preparing for Black Friday already. I cannot believe it. We have the end of the year calendar. We're preparing for Black Friday. It'll be here before you know it. Kim's going to go over, we have a post on the Stranger Studio site, actually. It's not on the Paid Memberships Pro site, but on the Stranger Studio site. We have a post of 6 weeks of prep for Black Friday, and it takes you week by week of what you should do 6 weeks prior to Black Friday. And then the week of Black Friday, you get to rest. It's in the guide. So
you have to do it. It says so.
It says so. It's a requirement. How to join the Slack? Great question. I will drop a link for you right now. Once it loads, and make sure I have the right link.
This one. Yep.
There you go, Angelina. You can join our Slack. And let's see. Emily said my Tuesday mornings, 10:30 to 1:30 p.m. is eternally spoken for. Okay. Well, maybe if I can bump it up to be 9:30 to 10:30, we can speak for that hour or two.
Few days a month. 1 day a month.
1 day a month. And then the other time that we have for that co-working hour is 3:30 Eastern. 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. Which we're also available to adjust that one as well. So we do have 2 co-working events a month. One is in the morning, our time. One is in the afternoon, our time. But we do have flexibility if the people have spoken and say, I will definitely join the co-working hour if it's at this time. I will make it happen.
Nice.
Perfect. Well, I don't see any other questions coming through. I think this was super useful. And now it's time to write a blog post all about cookies.
Yes. Yes.
And
for sure. Is my screen sharing still?
I took your screen off.
Okay. I want to see you. Okay, there you are.
There you go.
I had to see you.
Emily said that she loved her experience in the co-working. Yes.
I learned something, and we got a blog post out of it, so it was cool.
We got a blog post out of it. We had a real life coding with Sam session, face to face, where we really dived into code. So it was pretty fun. But now, Kim and I are going to say goodbye. Please stick around for a special message from Kim Coleman. Maybe.
I hope you got some value out of what you just watched. If you're serious about building a profitable membership site, the fastest way to launch or scale is with a premium plan at paidmembershipspro.com. We've made it as affordable as possible to get started, and most people who upgrade stick with us for years. Why? Because they're making money, and we keep delivering expert support, premium add-ons, and a private community of over 1,000 creators building businesses just like yours. Click the link to compare plans or keep learning. We'll see you in the next video.